My beloved child, do you know that some doors are not shut by adversity at all, but are sealed tight by a single moment of weariness within you? When your breathing grows heavy, when your will feels drained, you may think leaving is the lightest way to lay the burden down. But I tell you the truth, many times, what you call letting go to find peace is exactly when grace is very near. Do not rush to step away from the place where I have set you just because you have not yet seen anything change. Some miracles do not arrive with thunder, but with the quiet staying of a heart that refuses to give up. I remember an old story, though few notice how deep it truly is. When the prophet Elijah had just come through a great victory over the prophets of Baal, he did not collapse because of defeat. He collapsed right after triumph. He was exhausted, afraid, and asked to die beneath the broom tree. Yet I did not accuse him, nor did I push him to rise at once. I let him sleep. I fed him. I gave him rest. And only when his soul had been soothed, I whisper, not in the great wind, not in the earthquake, but in a gentle, quiet voice. Do you see? There are moments when I do not need you to be stronger. I need you to stay long enough to be restored. I want you to understand this staying is not weakness, but a sign of maturity and faith. When you are still young, you easily walk away from anything that makes you uncomfortable. But as you grow in me, you learn to distinguish between what hurts you and what is shaping you. There are seasons where if you leave too soon, you do not lose me. You lose the ability to see me working in silence. Staying is not stubbornly clinging to circumstances. It is choosing to stand still long enough for your heart to take root, so that your faith no longer depends on passing emotions, but on steady trust. The mature do not ask, "What do I see?" They ask, "What am I learning?" I want you to release a burden you have carried for far too long. The burden of having to fix everything by yourself. You think strength means never stopping, always pushing forward, always solving, always forcing your way through. But I tell you a truth that sounds upside down when stress takes the throne. Wisdom often walks away. So there are times I do not open a path immediately, but open a quiet space. I do not push you forward. I call you to pause. Rest is not running away. Rest is returning to the right place where you no longer try to be God in my place. When you are willing to be still, your mind is renewed. Your heart grows clear again. And the decisions you make afterward no longer come from fear, but from trust. Today I invite you to pause for a moment, to step back inwardly, and to look deeper into the real battle. It is not in the adversity, but in the reaction within you. If all you do is fight the situation, you will be worn out. But if you learn to stay, to keep peace, and to enter the restoration I have prepared, you will see that grace has never left you, simply lost sight of it amid the noise. My beloved child, staying is not a condition I set to test you. Staying is a gift for souls that are learning to grow. There are moments when your feelings will want to retreat, to cry out, to find the quickest exit from the sense of losing. Yet, child, there are lessons that only bloom when you choose to stand still, when you refuse to react immediately, and when you stay long enough for faith to take root. Staying is not stubbornly clinging to a door that is already closed. It is trusting that if I have not closed it, then do not rush. For there are things you cannot see at once. There is quiet work I am doing behind the scenes. And if you give up too soon, you do not lose me. You lose the chance to see me moving. The world teaches you that strength is never stopping, constantly working, saving yourself. But child, I did not create you to be a machine. I formed you with breath and love knows how to pause. When stress rushes in, have you noticed how easily you make the wrong decisions because your soul is tired? Your thoughts are unsettled, and you mistake that for wisdom. But no, it is the voice of fear. Let me teach you how to rest. Rest is not giving up, it is returning. Rest is an act of faith, trusting that I am still at work when you stop trying to control everything. And in that stillness, you will hear my voice more clearly than ever. I know the world is full of sparks, slander, pointless arguments, senseless insults. They are like glowing coals, waiting only for a gust of wind to become a fire. But child, peace is not luck reserved for those who are naturally gentle. Peace is an intentional choice made by the one who has faith. When you choose not to answer provocation, when you choose not to argue just to prove something, when you keep your heart quiet amid the noise, in that moment you are declaring that your God is greater than every criticism. Peace does not make you weaker. It is a silent victory the enemy cannot destroy. When you keep peace, you keep your heart from falling, and that is part of the victory I want you to hold. So, child, today do not surrender to your emotions too quickly. Do not lock shut what I am opening. My grace has not left. It is only that you need to stand still long enough for it to touch you again. Stay, rest, be at peace, and you will see the greatest battle is within. But the greatest victory begins there as well. If you need me, I will be here, and if you stay, I will do the rest. My beloved child, there will be times when you feel nothing at all. No spark of inspiration, no trace of motivation, no tears left to cry, not even words left to pray. And in that moment, you may think you have hit the bottom. That surely I have nothing left for you either. But do you know, in the emptiest place at the lowest point, I am still working, and staying then is not easy. It is a discipline found only in souls that are beginning to mature. No one grows in the bright, easy days. People mature when they endure without running away, when they hurt without complaining, when they are weary yet keep a quietness within. Staying is not the weakness of resigning yourself to be beaten. It is the strength of one who knows life is not built on feelings, but on faith. No one can live on emotion forever. A day will come when emotion runs dry and only the choice remains. Will I trust or will I stop? Many have thought that staying means being slow, indecisive, or easily wounded. But in truth, staying is when you refuse haste, refuse to be swept along by the current of instant reaction. Staying is choosing silence before you answer, choosing prayer before you respond, choosing to listen before you accuse. And that is not easy at all. It requires a will tempered through hardship. Once in Scripture, I allowed a young man to be sold into slavery by his own brothers. Do you know who he was? Joseph, a pure and upright soul, gifted with dreams from me, yet crushed by jealousy and betrayal. He was thrown into a pit, sold to foreigners, falsely accused, imprisoned. No one stood beside him. No one defended him. No one knew he was innocent. And through the long years of being forgotten in the darkness of prison, Joseph did something few would even think to do. He stayed. He did not run, did not grow bitter, did not seek revenge, did not try to overthrow anything. He stayed in trust that I was still working even when no one could see. And at the appointed time, I lifted him from prison to become ruler over all Egypt. And through him I saved his own people from famine. If Joseph had given up 1 year earlier, 1 month, or even 1 day, what do you think would have happened? I am not only testing your faithfulness, I am forming it. For you cannot step into what I have prepared while your heart is still fragile, still wavering, still easily shaken by passing emotions. You must learn to stand still, and that is the costly lesson of spiritual maturity. I know there are days you have cried out inside, "Lord, do you see me? Do you hear me? Why do I pray and nothing changes? And I have heard, I have seen, yet I do not rush to answer. Because sometimes what I want to change is not the circumstance, but you. Think about it. If every time you grew weary, I immediately removed the burden, what would you learn? You would not learn perseverance. You would not know how to trust when you cannot see. You would not recognize that some miracles do not happen by changing everything around you, but by changing your heart in the midst of what does not change. And once you learn that, you will no longer be a weak believer living by feelings. You will become a warrior of the kingdom, one who knows how to wait, how to endure, how to trust, and how to stay until God completes what He began. People often quit right before the good arrives. The devil knows this, so he constantly tries to make you tired, make you doubt, make you believe there is nothing ahead. But child, I say it again, the most dangerous thing is not weariness. It is allowing weariness to become a reason to walk away from grace. Are you tired? Be tired. I understand. But do not retreat. Do not cross your own name off my plan. If you no longer have strength to walk, then sit, but do not leave my presence. If you no longer have words to pray, even a sigh is enough, I still hear. If you have no tears left to cry, then be silent. I am still wiping your tears in the quiet. For what matters is not that you are always strong, but that you know how to stay. Stay when you feel empty. Stay when the promises have not yet become reality. Stay when others have left. Stay when your heart most wants to give up. Because I, your Lord, never take back my promises. Yet I entrust great things only to those who are mature enough to guard their hearts through seasons of dryness. Are you walking through a dry season? Then remember this. No roots grow deep while the soil is still wet. Only when the human heart is parched do I cause faith to drive its roots downward. And only roots of faith that run deep can stand firm when the storm comes. Today, if you feel as though you have nothing left to hold on to this. Staying is the act of someone with long vision. Those who live for the moment give up when they encounter failure. But those who live for eternity, for a purpose bigger than themselves, they stay. They wait, they trust, and they keep walking in silence. And then one day, I will lead them out of the darkness, not with empty hands, but with a heart that has been refined, with an unshakable faith, and with a steadfast testimony for the kingdom of heaven, like Joseph, like you. If you do not give up, I know you are weak, but I do not need you to be strong by your own strength. I only need you not to turn your back. I need you to remain, and if you can do that, the rest is mine. For the enemy may steal from you a night of sleep, an opportunity, a loved one. But if you keep your faithfulness, it cannot steal your future. So stay even when your heart is tangled, even when you cannot see anything yet, because one day you will understand, staying does not slow you down. It sets your steps in the right direction. Beloved, there is a truth that is hard to accept, especially for those who are used to bracing themselves through life. You are not exhausted because your circumstances are too heavy, but because you are trying to carry things I never asked you to carry. You thought strength meant never stopping, fixing everything until it is done, grinding your teeth and pushing on even when your heart is torn. But my child, that is not strength that comes from faith. That is endurance that comes from fear. Fear that if you stop, everything will fall apart. I did not create you to live in that rigid tension. I did not call you to be someone who must always try a little harder. I called you to abide in me. And in that abiding, you will learn something the world does not teach. Rest is also obedience. Do you remember Moses? He led my people out of Egypt, faced the Red Sea, the wilderness, and the ceaseless complaints of millions. One day, from morning until evening, Moses sat judging every dispute among the people. He worked without stopping because he thought that if he paused, everything would unravel. But in that moment, Jethro, his father-in-law, spoke to him with plain honesty. What you are doing is not good. You will wear yourself out, both you and the people. Do you see? Doing more is not always faithfulness. There are times when continuing is actually going against my will. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus, it is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. And I use that counsel to teach Moses to delegate, to release, to rest so he would not break along the way. But my child, you often do the opposite. When pressure rises, you grip tighter. When anxiety stirs, you try harder to control. You fear that if you do not do something, you will lose everything. Yet that fear is what pushes you to make decisions in the dark, to say words that wound, to choose paths you later regret. I tell you the truth. A soul that does not know how to rest cannot discern what is right. When you are weary, you can no longer hear my voice clearly. My voice is gentle. It does not force itself into chaos. I wait for you to become still. I wait for your breath to slow. I wait for you to open your hands. Once in the midst of a furious storm on the Sea of Galilee, the disciples panicked. Rowing in desperation, waves poured into the boat, the wind lashed hard, and they thought death was near. But what was I doing? I was sleeping, not because I was indifferent, but because I knew that storm had no authority to kill them. Have you ever wondered why I slept in the storm? Because I wanted to teach them and teach you that peace does not come from controlling the wind and waves. It comes from knowing who is in the boat. When the disciples woke me, I did not only calm the storm outside, I also asked them, "Why do you still have no faith?" Because I know that if you do not learn to rest in me, then even when the sea is quiet, your heart will still surge. You often ask me to rescue you, but rarely ask me to teach you how to rest. You ask for a way out, but not for a quiet heart. You want the storm to stop, yet you do not let me stop you first. And that is why many times I do not immediately change your circumstances, because I am inviting you back into stillness. Rest is not escape. Rest is handing the steering wheel back to me. When you rest, you are saying, "I am not God," and that is the most beautiful confession I can hear from you, my child. There are decisions made in exhaustion that can cost you for a long time. There are relationships shattered simply because you reacted before you had rested. There are doors that closed not because I refused to open them. but because you rushed in before you were healed. So, I am not only the one who rescues you from danger, I am also the one who teaches you to stop before you become a danger to yourself. Look at David. Before he became king, he spent long years fleeing, hunted, betrayed. There were moments when he could have used his own strength to end Saul and bring that weary season to a close. But David did not do it. He waited. He rested in the promise. He refused to act out of human impatience because he understood that if something comes without me, it will carry consequences he cannot bear. My child, rest does not waste your time. Rest keeps you from the wrong path. I know you fear being left behind. I know you worry that if you do not fight, others will pass you. But you do not need to race anyone. You only need to walk in the rhythm I have for you. And that rhythm always makes room for silence, for deep breath, for nights of sleep without anxiety. When you rest in me, you do not grow weaker. You are allowing me to strengthen you from within. You are letting your soul be healed before you take the next step. And when you rise after days of resting in me, you will be different, clearer, gentler, steadier. So if today your mind feels tangled, your heart feels heavy, your pulse quickens with worry, stop. Do not rush to fix everything. Do not rush to answer. Do not rush to decide. Rest not away from me, but in me. For I have never required you to save yourself. I only invite you to lay your burden down so I can lift it with you. And when you learn this, you will understand rest is not a step backward. It is preparation for a journey that is wiser, deeper, and more enduring in my grace. Beloved, you once thought peace was something meant only for those with calm temperaments, for those born gentle and less troubled. You believed you could not keep peace because you are quick to react, because your spirit is easily stirred. But my child, peace is not a privilege reserved for a few. Peace is a choice, and it is a choice that requires faith. You may be strong, straightforward, full of inner fire, but if you do not learn to choose peace, you will always be drawn into battles that do not belong to you. Life will always bring people and situations that awaken in you feelings of injustice, offense, hurt, and every time you will stand at a crossroads. Either react according to what is natural or keep your heart steady because you trust that I am still reigning. Once in the Old Testament, I allowed a woman named Miriam, Moses' sister, together with Aaron, to rebel against their own brother. They spoke against Moses and questioned the leadership I had given him. And Moses, the leader of millions, could have reacted, defended himself, used authority to silence that resistance. But do you know what he did? He remained silent, and I was the one who spoke on his behalf. My child, when you keep your peace, you are not silent because you are weak. You are quiet because you know who is fighting for you. Truth does not need you to shout to prove it. Reputation does not need you to risk yourself to protect it. If what you are doing is right in my eyes, then whatever the enemy says, whatever it slanders, whatever it spreads, it cannot overthrow what I am building in you. I know there are words that pierce like a knife. There are actions that leave your throat tight with swallowed pain. You want to speak, to strike back, to show that you are not easily pushed down. But my child, a moment of anger can burn down what I have spent years building, and the enemy knows this. It does not need to defeat you. It only needs you to lose control. It only needs to press the right weakness so you set your own heart on fire with a hot, tempered reaction. I do not call you to live according to the opinions of people. I call you to live according to my word. And my word is always gentle yet full of power. My word does not come from impulsive emotions. but from a heart soaked in stillness and reverence. Have you noticed in all the miracles I ever did? Never once did I act in haste. Not once was I swept away by the emotions of the crowd. Even when people wanted to stone the woman caught in adultery, I did not shout. I did not argue. I bent down and wrote on the ground a slow, quiet act in the middle of chaos. And then with just one sentence, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone. Everyone left with nothing more to say, do you see? Peace has the power to silence even the harshest mouths. You cannot stop others from attacking you, but you can choose not to let them attack your heart. You cannot avoid every rumor, every betrayal, every bitter misunderstanding, but you can choose how to respond. Either you hold on to anger or you hold on to peace. When you choose to guard your peace, you are not losing. You are winning a battle that only you and I truly see. It is the inner battle where pride pushes you to fight back, but faith whispers to you, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Sometimes what steals your peace is not other people, but the voice inside you. Those questions that keep circling, what if they don't understand me? If I don't explain, what will people think if I stay silent? Does that mean I'm weak, my child? I did not call you to live chasing after approval. I called you to live in my presence. And in that presence, you will know that quietness does not make you weaker. It makes you more steadfast than ever. People often say that silence is golden, but in me, peace is also a weapon. It keeps you from falling into traps. It helps you see clearly the true nature of others without being deceived by appearances. It protects you from wrong decisions, from words that wound, and from actions that do not flow from love. There are times when keeping your peace is the greatest act of faith. When you choose not to retaliate, not to judge, not to react in haste, that is the moment you place your heart in my hands. And I will act. I will defend you. I will deliver you. Not in the way you imagine, but in the way I know is best for you, my child. Peace is not an accident. It is the fruit of a life anchored in my word. When you learn my word, you do more than know what is right and wrong. You learn when to speak and when to be silent. You learn what is worth speaking up for and what you should leave in my hands. One day you will look back and see it was not because you were so wise that everything worked out. It was because you kept your peace, and that peace kept you from many things that could have harmed you. So today, if someone hurts you, if a situation stirs up a storm inside you, if you feel yourself on the edge of losing control, pause, take a deep breath, and remember you have a choice. You can react like everyone else, or you can step out of that cycle and live according to the way of the kingdom of heaven. Because you do not belong to this world, you belong to me. And those who belong to me will live in peace, even in a world full of turmoil. My beloved child, perhaps one of the greatest misunderstandings people carry about me is the image of me as a harsh judge, always holding a scale to measure every mistake, ready to punish anyone who stumbles. But my child, if I were only righteous and not rich in mercy, not one person could stand before me. My love does not ignore sin, but it does not crush the person either. That love does not lull you to sleep with flattering, sugary words, but it will never extinguish a heart that truly repents. Remember this when I discipline you. I do not do it to punish you. I do it to bring you back. No loving father stands by and watches his child run into a fire. No mother who loves her child would simply watch as that child drinks poison out of respect for their freedom. In the same way, I love you enough to warn you, enough to cut away what is killing your soul, even when you have not yet seen it for what it is. In the story of King Manasseh, you can see this. He was one of the most wicked kings of Judah. He rebuilt false altars, worshipped foreign gods, even brought idols into the holy temple. He led the people astray and did evil in the eyes of the Lord more than the nations had done before. And then I allowed him to be captured, bound with hooks, and led away in humiliation. But in that lowest place in captivity alone, stripped of his throne and his honor, Manasseh humbled himself before me. He truly repented and cried out to me, and I heard him. I brought him back to Jerusalem, restored his throne, and he spent the rest of his life tearing down the idols he himself had once raised. Do you see? I do not abandon the lost. I look for ways to bring them home. But only when your heart humbles itself. When you recognize what is wrong and turn back will you see that grace is not only forgiveness, but restoration. My beloved child, sin does not surprise me. I know human nature. I know there will be times when you are weak, when you fall, when you choose what is wrong. But what I desire is not a religious mask of perfection. What I desire is a heart that truly wants to return. Maybe you are living in a wrong habit, in an unhealthy relationship, in a way of thinking that is slowly eating away at the character and faith you once had. Maybe you keep telling yourself, I'm not worth coming back anymore. But my child, repentance is not a sentence. Repentance is the way home. I do not label you by your past. I see you through the lens of your potential to be restored through the light I placed in you from the very beginning. All you need to do is come back and step into the truth, not to be condemned, but to be rescued. I do not want you to live in shame, but I also will not let you live comfortably with your sin, because I love you too much to let you drift along in what is killing your soul. Do not deceive yourself by saying everything is fine if you are walking far from me. Waking up is the first step into grace. And when you are honest with yourself, when you look straight at the life you are living and say, Lord, I was wrong in that very moment, the gates of heaven open wide again. I do not use a whip to drag you back. I use a love that is gentle yet unshakable. That love will call you home. It will stir your heart every night. It will make sin lose its sweetness. It will remind you you do not belong here. This road is not meant for you. You can run away from everyone. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. But you cannot outrun my voice in your heart. And you know that when the prodigal son in the parable had burned through his inheritance, lived in debauchery, and ended up feeding pigs, what brought him home was not shame. It was remembering his father. He remembered that he had once been a son. And I, the father in that story, did not wait until he reached the doorstep to decide whether to forgive him. I ran to him, embraced him, clothed him in new garments, placed a ring on his finger, and threw a feast in his honor. My child, I am doing the same with you. You may think you are not worthy, but do not look at your worthiness. Look at my willingness. Grace is not a reward for the perfect. Grace is help for those who know they cannot stand up on their own. And when you step out of the shadows, when you become honest, when you choose to leave your old patterns, to walk away from toxic influences, to refuse a double life that is more than just coming back, it is rebuilding. I will not only wipe away the stains inside you, I will clothe you in new robes. I will give you a voice, a place, and an influence you never imagined. But all of this begins with one thing, the decision to return. So today, my child, stop tormenting yourself. Stop hiding your sins in dark corners. I already know everything, and I still call you my child. I still love you. I am still waiting. I am still holding open the door of restoration. My love does not indulge sin, but it does not crush the fragile heart. And if you will step into the light, I will not reopen your past. I will rewrite your future. My beloved child, you often see your life as a short stretch of road, as a tangle of days spent struggling with daily needs, failures, trials, and complicated relationships around you. You think that if you can just get through today, if you can stand firm today, if you don't collapse today, that is enough. But my child, I am not only thinking about you today. I am looking at the entire flow of your life, your family, those who will come after you, faces you have never seen who will carry your blood, your memories, and the imprint of the choices you are making now. The blessing I have for you is not limited to a single lifetime. It is like a seed. You may think you are only sowing something very small. Just a prayer, one act of forgiveness, one decision to refuse sin, one quiet step of faithfulness when no one sees. But you do not realize that this seed, when placed in my hands, will grow far beyond anything you can imagine. Once Paul looked at a young man named Timothy. In the eyes of the world, he was just an ordinary youth with no title and no status. But Paul told him that a sincere faith lived in him. The same faith that first lived in his grandmother Lois and in his mother Eunice. Do you see? Faith does not appear out of nowhere. It flows from one generation to the next like an underground stream that I myself faithfully sustain. That grandmother, that mother may have been nothing more than unnamed women, faces no one remembers, names no one calls. They may have simply prayed quietly in the night, taught their children a few verses of scripture, lived a simple life of faithfulness and loyalty, never standing out. Yet it was their hidden love and steadfast faith that became the foundation for Timothy to become a servant of mine, carrying my word to many souls. My child, blessing is not always dazzling, grand, or immediate. Often it is woven through slow and humble things. A father lowering his voice in front of his child so as not to crush the child's spirit. A mother choosing to kneel in prayer instead of releasing curses. A child deciding not to walk again the wrong road of the previous generation. Those small things, when placed in my hands, become a legacy. You may be growing up in a family full of cracks, quarrels, wounds, debt, injustice, violence, indifference. Words that tear the heart. You may think my home is already like this. I'm just trying to survive. What blessing could there be for the next generation? But my child, I am not asking you to keep repeating the old story. Even if you begin from a tangled, broken foundation, I can still use you to start a new story. Do you remember Rahab, the woman in Jericho? In the eyes of the world, she was a sinner, living in the shadows, without honor. Yet, when I brought Israel to surround Jericho, Rahab chose to trust me. She hid the spies and dared to place her very life into my hands. And do you know what happened? Her house was spared. Her whole family was rescued from death. And not only that, Rahab became part of the lineage that would lead to the Savior himself, a woman despised. a decision full of faith, and from there, a stream of blessing flowing through many generations. Do you see? I do not demand that you be perfect, and I do not demand that your family look beautiful. I am only seeking one who dares to believe and dares to step out of the old cycle. One who dares to say, Lord, I am weary of the wounds repeating in my home. I do not want to pass bitterness, anger, and sin down to my children. Please begin again with me. When you do that, you are raising a spiritual wall against everything that has once devastated your family. You end the handing down of what is wrong, and you begin the handing down of blessing. You are not fighting only for yourself, but for those who will come after you. And I, the Lord of generations, will not overlook a single prayer that rises from a heart like that. You may not see results right away. You may pray for your family and everything still looks the same. You keep loving patiently, yet others remain hard. You abandon harmful habits, yet the marks of the past still press deep. You grow discouraged because you cannot see change. But my child, blessing is often not loud. It seeps in slowly, like rain soaking into dry ground. The day you choose not to answer with harshness, a seed of blessing is planted in your children's hearts. The day you kneel to pray for your husband, your wife, your parents, instead of only accusing, a seed of blessing is planted in your bloodline. The day you decide to forgive an old wound. I am breaking a chain that is wrapped around your family for many years. From heaven, I do not see only scattered actions. I see an entire line of history. And I want to use you as a turning point to bend what was headed toward ruin back toward rebuilding. You do not yet have a family of your own. That is all right. Your blessing does not pass only through blood. It also spreads through the people you touch, the souls you uphold, the children you encourage, the friends you intercede for. Each time you give encouragement, each time you stand in the middle of conflict and choose to defend what is good, you are letting my blessing flow through you into the lives of others. But my child, do not forget this blessing is not merely the solving of material hardship. The deepest blessing is when a person truly knows the Lord, knows they are loved, forgiven, and called by name. You may not leave your descendants many possessions, but if you leave them an example of prayer, a heart that fears me, and a story of the times I have rescued your household, then you have left a treasure no economic crisis can steal. I want you to learn to see your life, not only through the question, what do I get, but through the question, what does the Lord want to do through me for others? When you ask that, you will be less consumed by immediate loss and begin to trust that I am guiding the story of your life with a very wise hand. Sometimes I allow you to pass through pain, not because you have done something wrong, but because I want to use that very wound to heal others later. Sometimes what you did not receive becomes the reason you learn to treasure more, love more, and become more sensitive to the pain of those who come after you. And that too is the blessing of a heart that understands and knows how to uphold. Beloved child, believe that you do not live alone within time. You are woven into a story larger than yourself, into a current of grace that I am writing across generations. What I am doing in you today may be the answer to someone's prayers in your family many years ago. And what I do through you today may become the answer to the cries of those who have not even been born yet. So do not take your quiet choices lightly. Do not think that merely getting through the day is enough. Each day you choose faithfulness. Each time you choose to return, each time you choose thanksgiving instead of complaint, You are signing your name on a page of blessing that I am composing for your whole household. I see you. I see the sacrifices no one acknowledges. I record every tear you shed when you pray for your loved ones. I hear every groan you breathe out because you long for your family to be free, to be healed. And I promise you, no prayer of intercession for others is ever in vain. If you do not see the fullness of the outcome in your lifetime, you will see it one day when you stand before me, and I let you look back on the whole story in heaven's light. Therefore, my child, keep sowing. Sow with tears, yet with faith. Sow in weariness, yet do not let go. Sow in quietness, yet with hope. For the blessing I have for you does not stop with you. It is designed to flow onward, to spread wider, to become a legacy. And you, no matter where you come from, no matter what you have lived through, can still by my grace become the beginning of a new line of blessing for your family. For those who come after you, I want to do that, and I am beginning from your heart right now. My beloved child, if you knew what I am holding in my hands for your life, perhaps you would not hesitate so much. You would no longer cling to the little things you fear losing. You would no longer grip the old habits that are wearing your soul away. You would no longer delay before the invitations I have placed upon your life. You would step forward with an open heart, ready for me to shape you, correct you, and refine you, because you would understand that whatever I do within you leads to a life that is stronger, freer, and more glorious. But I know you do not find it easy to believe this. You have endured too many disappointments, too many deceptions. Too many times you placed hope in people and were betrayed. And so when I say, let me lead the way, you unconsciously raise a wall. You say you love me. Yet deep underneath you still keep a territory you will not let me touch. Your fears, your wounds, the habits you think you cannot live without. If you dare to turn from those things, dare to cut off wrong choices, dare to lay down dangerous games with sin, if you dare to place me on the throne of your heart, not with songs alone, but with daily decisions, you will see something happen, and I begin to intervene deep within you. Not merely to make you better behaved, but to make you like the warrior I intended you to be. I do not give you commands and then leave you to manage on your own. When I call you, I also prepare the power for you to walk in that calling. You see yourself as timid, weak, lacking confidence, stumbling over words, afraid of being judged, afraid of others' eyes, afraid of being misunderstood. But I look at you with a different gaze. I see in you the ability to rise with strength, to speak truth boldly, to choose what is right even when no one supports you. You have simply not yet allowed me to fill you with the courage that comes from the Holy Spirit. When you are willing to open your heart, willing to loosen your grip on what you are clinging to, I will enter and touch the parts you thought could never change. I will gradually undo your timidity, peel away layers of fear, heal the wounds that make you always feel less than others, and in their place, I will form a heart that is firm and steady, a heart that knows to whom it belongs. I do not promise you that from the day you open your heart to me, life will become smooth. But I promise that from that moment, you will no longer tremble before the storms as you once did. A strange strength not born of personality or effort, but coming from me will begin to ignite within you. You will start to realize that you are not as easily panicked as before, not as easily crushed by a few judgments, not as quick to run whenever adversity appears, not because you have become cold, but because you have learned that your victory does not begin when circumstances are favorable. It begins when you surrender to me. Your victory over today's trial begins at the moment you decide. I will not run anymore. I will stand with you. Even if I still tremble, I will choose to believe, choose to obey, choose to cling to your word. You may feel as though you are fighting alone, but in reality, the fiercest battle has had its outcome decided long ago. On the cross, I declared victory. Darkness, sin, and judgment have all been defeated. You are not fighting to see whether you can win. You are walking the path of one who has already been placed on the side of victory. Still, you must step forward. You must take hold of what has been prepared for you. That is why I invite you, trust me, not only with fleeting feelings, but with a quiet steadfastness. Come to me in prayer, not as a numb ritual repeated without life, but as a living conversation between you and the one who understands you more than you understand yourself. When you plead with a trusting heart, when you take my word as your support, you are holding in your hands the only sword that can sever the lies that have bound you for so long. Every verse of scripture you etch into your heart. Every promise you repeat in the stillness of the night becomes a strike against fear, against doubt, against the voices in your mind insisting will never get better. When you meditate on my word, you are not merely memorizing a text. You are letting truth soak into your thoughts, reshaping how you see yourself, others, and even your circumstances. My word within you is like a steadfast lamp. Though the wind may howl outside, it still lights the path ahead enough for you to take one more step and then another. Your eyes will tend to look around, to compare, to envy, to judge, to wonder why this person receives what you do not, why someone else has ease while you struggle. But I want to train you to see differently, to look straight toward the reward I have promised. Not merely a fleeting measure of success in this life, but everlasting glory where every tear is wiped away. Every unfinished story is completed, and every hardship endured for my sake is remembered. When you fix your gaze there, you will know what is worth sacrificing, what is worth leaving behind, and what is worth fighting for. Petty matters will take up less room in your heart. Attacks will no longer have the power to knock you off course. You begin to live like one running toward the finish line, not like one wandering through the days. I have placed within you gifts, abilities, and distinct qualities that are unlike anyone else's. You may think there is nothing special about you, but I have not made anyone redundant. The question is whether you will dare to use what I have given you wholeheartedly, or whether you will keep burying it out of fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of judgment, fear of not measuring up. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. When you begin to use your gifts, whether speaking, writing, serving, comforting, listening, supporting, or simply showing up faithfully beside someone, you are joining a quiet yet very real battle. Every selfless act of love is a blow against selfishness and coldness. Every time you speak truth with grace, you strike at deception. Every time you choose what is right when no one praises you. You declare that you do not live to impress but to please me. Do not think your battle is only about what can be seen. Money, work, relationships, health. Behind these things lies a spiritual depth where intentions, motives, thoughts, fears, faith, jealousy, forgiveness are constantly contending. I want you to understand that you are not punching at the air. Each day you wake up, you step into an invisible battlefield. Small temptations, passing thoughts, choices that seem harmless. These are places where you either make room for darkness or make room for me. This struggle is not imagination. It is more real than what you can touch because it determines who you will become. There are people around you who consider themselves wise. They maneuver in every way, calculating, scheming, digging pits for others to fall into. They think that is victory. Yet, strangely enough, within the whirlpool they create, they themselves slip, bound by their own deceit, living in constant unease, always suspicious, always afraid of paying the price. But I do not call you to live by tricks or calculations. I call you to walk straight toward the eye of the storm, where truth is tested, where faith must be revealed, where you cannot pretend. Entering the eye of the storm is not throwing yourself into foolishness. It is choosing to face directly what you usually avoid. Your deepest fear, an unhealed wound, a loneliness no one knows, hidden habits you still conceal, toxic relationships you have not dared to cut off. I want you to stop circling. Stop running around the issue. Stop acting as if nothing is there. Step straight into it with me. Let me walk with you through those fierce layers of wind. When you dare to stand in the midst of the storm of your life, not with empty hands, but gripping my word with faith that trembles yet is true. With a heart that no longer wants to compromise, you become like a warrior driving the sword of faith into the ground, marking the place and saying, "Here I will not run anymore. Here I stand." And when you raise high the banner that belongs to me, not a banner of pride, but a banner of surrender, heaven and earth both know which side you have chosen. I do not abandon the one who carries my banner on the battlefield. There will be moments when the storm still roars and lashes your face, when your prayers have not yet been answered the way you hoped, when nothing outside seems to have changed, yet deep within, a change has already begun. Panic is replaced by a calm you cannot fully explain. Weariness is replaced by a quiet hope that is persistent. You are no longer tossed about by every gust of wind. You begin to realize the storm may continue, but it no longer occupies your center. The rhythm in your heart begins to align with mine, not with the shifting turbulence of life. Then a time will come without you knowing exactly when that you realize the storm has eased. No commotion, no fireworks, just an ordinary morning when you wake up and discover you are no longer being choked by the old dread. A conversation happens and you do not react the way you used to. A familiar situation returns, but this time you respond with peace and wisdom. That is the sign that the victory I have already prepared is beginning to be revealed. That victory is not only that circumstances get resolved. That victory is first of all that you are being transformed. You are no longer a runaway, but one who stands firm. You are no longer a permanent victim of circumstances, but a witness of my grace in the midst of them. You come out of the storm not as someone left in ruins, but as someone who knows me more deeply, knows yourself more truly, and understands the real meaning of the battle you are part of. My child, all of this begins with a choice that seems very small. Opening your heart to me, turning your back on sin, making me your priority. allowing me to shape you. From that choice, I build within you the heart of a victor. Not a loud victory, but a quiet and enduring one. Not a victory to boast before the world, but a victory to stand steady before me. And as you continue to walk in that way of life day by day, whether you notice it or not, you are writing another chapter in the triumphal story I wrote for your life long ago. Beloved child, a day will come when you stand on the very ground you once only dared to look at from a distance in fear. And in your hands then will no longer be tears of disappointment, but the mark of victory I have set within your heart on that day. You will realize that every trembling step, every sleepless night, every prayer you thought was hopeless, none of it was wasted. Each time you did not run, each time you chose to rise instead of surrender, was a moment when I quietly pushed your boundaries a little farther. You thought you were walking in circles, but in truth, I was leading you upward. When you look back, you will see you are no longer where you once were, but standing higher, steadier, deeper, and your heart will be marked by victories known only to you and me. And you will set foot upon the land that was once a wound, a shame, a failure. And you will be like one who plants my banner there, whispering to yourself, "This used to be where I fell. Now it has become the place where I belong wholly to the Lord." I allow you to face hardships not to push you into misery, but to open for you a new territory in the Spirit. A place you once could not understand or reach because you had not yet passed through the refining fire. You do not go alone. You do not fight alone. And you are never thrown into battle only to be abandoned. I know exactly what I am doing. And I do not send you into the storm to become prey for the destroyer. I send you into the issue with peace, because even before you saw it, I was already standing there waiting for you. You do not belong to panic. You belong to me, and I am Lord over both the battlefield and your heart. There are times you ask, why would God let me enter this? Why doesn't He spare me the friction, the criticism, the losses, my child? If I removed every difficulty from your life, you would live like a child with no backbone, only happy when the sky is clear, collapsing the moment storms arrive. I love you too much to raise you in such weakness. I allow trials to come, but I go with you into them, and I watch every boundary. The enemy may roar, but it cannot cross the line I have set. It may intimidate, but it cannot destroy the destiny I have written for you. Each time you tremble before what you fear most, and still choose to cling to me, I cover you with a protection that is invisible yet utterly real. Often you cannot see it, but my angels are encamped around you, standing between you and the hidden schemes that would devour you. Without me, you would have shattered long ago. If I loosen my hand for even a moment, you would not be standing here to hear these words. So do not let fear deceive you into forgetting that you are surrounded more than you realize. You have made it to today, not because you are skilled at hiding pain, not because you are stronger than everyone else, and not because you know how to calculate the long road ahead. The deeper reason is this: I have lifted you up countless times without you knowing it. There were falls that should have crushed you. Yet I placed my hand upon your heart so that faith would not go out completely. There were moments you were exhausted and wanted to quit. But the moment you sighed and whispered my name, I heard you at once. I am not limited to the words you can speak aloud. I hear even the cries buried in your heart. The cries you yourself cannot put into words. You said, "Lord, I can't bear it anymore." And you thought I would rebuke your weakness, but in truth, The moment you admitted you could no longer bear, it was the moment you stepped out of the illusion that you could carry everything alone. When you release the thought, "I have to do it all," you finally make room for me to do my part. You think you are still walking on your own feet. But if you could see with spiritual eyes, you would know how many times I carried you across sinking sand. In that place, if you struggled on your own, you would sink deeper. But whenever you stopped and let me pull you, you were brought out of danger. Do you remember the days when your heart felt as though it was sinking? Everything ahead was tangled. Behind you was a past full of scratches, and beside you, there seemed to be no one who truly understood. You felt that if one more blow came, you would collapse completely. I saw it all. I did not turn my face away. I came near to you, not with thunder, but with a very gentle touch, a verse of scripture suddenly rising in your memory. An old song you heard as a child, a message from someone arriving at the exact right time, or simply a comfort you could not explain, filling your heart in the dark. That was not coincidence. That was my hand. I pulled you away from thoughts that were leading you toward despair. I lifted you from the urge to let everything go. I held you when you no longer had strength to stand, and then you made it through one more day. You opened your eyes to one more morning. You are still alive, even when you once thought you could not continue. That is the proof that I have not left you. You can look back and sigh, "Lord, I still have so many problems. Why isn't everything fixed yet?" But look more closely. Many things you once thought would kill you have only become hard chapters you have already passed through. And now they are behind you. Fears that once ruled you no longer have the same power. The insults that once locked you in the prison of shame no longer hold you the way they did at first. Those who mocked you, looked down on you, even waited for you to fail, will have to watch as I raise you up. Not so you can gloat, but so they too may have a chance to see what grace really is. I will silence those who ridicule you, not by crushing them, but by turning you, the one they despised, into a living testimony that I can turn things around, turn tears into laughter, and wastelands into gardens. No one has the right to place a final full stop on your story except me. No gossip, no accusation, no curse is strong enough to stop my hand when I decide to bless. Whatever belongs to you in my plan will come to you at the right time, and no power can steal it. Right now you may be in the middle of the story, not the beginning anymore, but not yet at the ending. You are tired of waiting, confused because you still cannot see a way out, and tempted to think that maybe everything I have said is only theory. I understand that. I do not blame you for being weary. But I want you to know this. It is precisely in this long, uncomfortable middle that I am clothing your life with my protection. I am covering your soul with a holy mantle unseen by human eyes, but clearly recognized by every power of darkness. They know who you belong to. They know there is a hedge around you they cannot casually cross. I place an invisible shield in front of you, not so that you will never be hurt, but so that what could have destroyed you will only be able to wound you for a moment, and then pass, leaving in you a deeper faith. Disappointments that seem like the end will only turn into bends in the road, not bottomless pits with no way out. I send my angels to encamp around you. This is not a fairy tale but spiritual reality. When you are on the road, when you sleep, when you are alone facing dark thoughts, seductive whispers that sound sweet, or quick but dirty escapes, heavenly warriors are standing guard. There are doors that look very promising from the outside, but are filled with traps within. I have closed those doors. Even though you once wondered, why didn't things go my way? There are relationships you clung to until you were exhausted, but I allowed them to crack so that you would be protected from being slowly devoured. There were moments when you wanted to compromise just to lessen the pain. But I made your heart restless so that you would not sell your soul for a little counterfeit peace. One day you will look back on all of this and be thankful, because right in the middle of the things you could not understand, I was quietly keeping your future safe in my hands. You often think your future lies in the hands of those with more power. People who can sign a decision, open or close an opportunity, come into your life or walk away from it. But my child, none of them is the sovereign over the deepest part of your life. They are only supporting characters in the story I am writing with you. They can influence you, but they cannot define who you are. Your future is not in the hands of your superiors, not in the hands of those who hate you, and certainly not in the hands of those who have turned their backs on you. Your future is bound to me, the one who knows every step you will take. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus, it is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. Who knows the day you were born and the hour you will come home? I am your God, the Almighty, Sovereign Lord, not limited by what you call circumstances. I am never in a hurry, but I am never late. I am patient with your slowness, gentle with your weak places, yet also very firm when I must cut away what is pulling you off the path of goodness. I love you not with a fleeting emotion, but with a love that existed long before you knew how to call my name. That love does not change its mind when you fail, does not grow cold when you are tired, does not drift away when you are weak. It patiently waits for you to grow, to let go of your illusions, to stop trying to prove that you are worthy in order to be loved, and finally to accept the truth that you are loved because I am love. I will faithfully lead you through every season. The season of sowing, the season of tears, the season of drought, the season of confusion, to bring you into the season of harvest, the season of restoration, the season of understanding that everything I have allowed to happen is working together for your eternal good. My will does not always match your wishes, but it is always better than your wishes. And I will finish what I have begun. No power can break the plan I have sealed over your life, as long as you do not turn your back and agree with the lies. Keep going, not in confidence in yourself, but in the assurance that even when I am weak, the Lord is strong. Even when I tremble, His hand is steady. Even when I cannot see, His will is still being done. One day, when every storm has faded into a distant echo, you will stand in the place I promised. Look back on days that once seemed meaningless, and you will whisper, "Lord, Thank you for not letting me walk alone. Thank you for keeping your word even when I doubted. Thank you for protecting, sheltering, and guiding my life in a way that only you could. And I, as I have always done, will smile at you and say, I was there the whole time. Today I want you to answer me with your heart, not just with your lips. Whisper to me. No matter what people say, no matter how the world's opinions shift, I still choose to trust my Lord. I want to hear those words from the very depths of your heart. Not because I need to be comforted, but because when you confess this way, your own soul will be set free. You will no longer be dragged up and down by unstable judgments, because you will know clearly your value is not defined by anyone else's words, but sealed by my love. My child, do not let people's careless words become chains in your mind, rumors, ignorant judgments, words spoken behind your back. All of these are just dust blown by the wind. They may sting you for a moment, but they are not worth the peace I paid for with my own life to give you. If you keep those words in your heart, replaying them over and over, chewing on them day and night, they will grow roots, cling deep, and become darkness, weighing down your soul. I do not want to see you like that. I did not create you to live under the yoke of toxic voices. I made you to live in the light of my word, to walk lightly because you know you are loved, chosen, and sheltered. Picture those harsh words as dried leaves swept up by a gust of wind. They may whirl around in the sky for a while, making a bit of noise, but then they fall and disappear. My love for you is different. It does not come and go. It is there, unchanging, unfading, unmoved by anyone's gossip. If you make a habit of resting your heart on people's approval, you will always be tired, always striving to prove yourself, always afraid that a single mistake will get you rejected. But if you set your heart on the foundation of my love, you will stand firm. You will no longer live in confusion, no longer sink into darkness because of what people say about you. You will still feel sadness at times, but that sadness will no longer consume you, because behind it are my arms holding you close. I am knocking at the door of your heart and inviting you to give me a place that is wide and deep. Do not give the center seat of your heart to other people's opinions. I want to be the one whose voice is loudest in your soul. Close your heart to twisted words, but open it wide to my gentle whisper. The world will always have people who want to define who you are, a failure or a success, worthy or unworthy, good or bad, lovable or discardable. But my child, those judgments do not have the final say over your life. Your destiny is not in the hands of those who slander you. Your destiny is in my hands. I am the only one who has the right to pronounce over your life, and I have chosen to love you. I love you not with a vague, distant kind of love, but in very concrete ways in your every life. I place around you people who quietly care. I give you a family which, though imperfect, still includes hearts that want you to be at peace. I give you friends, companions, those who at some point have stood by you when you collapsed and did not walk away. These are signs of my love. I also guide you through situations that seem random, but are actually full of meaning. There were times you were spared from an accident, protected in a decision, given an open door at a moment that seemed closed. Do you remember these things? That was me whispering to you. You have value. You are not meaningless. I am still taking care of you. I have placed in your heart a purpose that no one else can replace. I created you not to be a copy of anyone, but to be yourself. A person with a unique story, unique wounds, a unique journey, and a unique calling. Do not let a few ignorant words bury that purpose. Do not allow shallow opinions to cover over the grace I have put within you. I see the goodness in you that even you have not yet noticed. I see your tender heart. I know the times you chose silence when you could have struck back. I record the nights you cried in secret and still chose to pray for the ones who hurt you. I see it all. I understand it all. And I value these things far more than any evaluation chart that human beings could draw up. When you stand at the crossroads, having to choose whether to let anger control you or to step into the peace I give, I want you to remember that you are not alone in that battle. I am standing beside you. I am giving you strength not to react out of instinct, not to answer with hurtful words, not to pour more fuel on the fire. The temptation to retaliate will always show up. It whispers in your ear. You must answer back. You must prove yourself. You must make them regret it. But my child, if you follow that whisper, you will step into a never-ending spiral. People hurt you, then you hurt others, and the wound keeps spreading. I do not want to see you swept up in this cycle of hurt. I want you to be the stopping point, the place where evil cannot go any further because it runs into a heart transformed by my mercy. Let my word be the shield that covers you. When emotions rise in you like waves, when your chest tightens with indignation, when your mind is full of imagined scenes of revenge, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and remember the Lord knows me. He sees my heart. He will speak on my behalf. In that moment, you step out of the enemy's trap. You refuse to let it control your reactions. You choose to stand on my side, the side of gentleness, of mercy, of light that is not weakness, that is spiritual victory. I want to grant your face a smile that isn't forced, but that flows from true freedom. No longer a strange smile used to hide pain, but the smile of someone who knows they are held in the hands of a good father. I want to wipe away the heaviness in your eyes and replace it with clarity and peace. When you place into my hands the stories that were smeared, the times you were misunderstood, the relationships that collapsed, I will soothe, heal, and return to you a lighter inner world. And from that inner world, your face will change too. You will no longer live with a look that is always worried about what people think, but with a quiet ease, the ease of someone who knows they are loved without having to perform. I also want to pour over your life the fresh oil of the Holy Spirit, not a passing religious emotion, but a deep anointing that reaches into your thoughts, feelings, and reactions. That oil will be like light cutting through the thick fog of negative thinking, dissolving the judgments you have placed on yourself, the poisonous sentences you have unconsciously repeated in your mind. I'm useless. I deserve this. No one truly loves me. I want to sever those lies. I want to replace them with my true voice. You are my treasure. You are precious in my eyes. You are loved not because you are perfect, but because you belong to me. When the oil of the Holy Spirit flows over your life, your mind will no longer be clouded by tangled, heavy thoughts. You will begin to discern what voice comes from me and what voice comes from fear and old wounds. You will have fewer sleepless nights turning over other people's words and more quiet hours sitting in my presence so your heart can soften again, so your mind can rest. I do not promise that from now on no one will ever speak ill of you or misunderstand you. But I promise that if you keep holding on to me, those things will no longer have the power to shatter your soul. My child, gather up every rumor, every criticism, every mocking word you have been storing in your heart for so long and lay them at my feet. Tell me, I don't want to live under the shadow of these words anymore. I want to live under the shadow of your wings. Then step out of that dark corner. Lift your head and look at me. I do not look at you with judgment. I look at you with the eyes of a father who has waited a long time for you to stop believing the noise outside and return to trust his gentle calling. From today, if you are willing, I will lead you into a different way of living. Not chasing praise, not dying little by little from criticism, but living for me, living before my face, living by my breath. When you feel weak, I will steady you. When you are wounded, I will bind you up. When you are tired of explaining yourself, I will remind you that you no longer need to prove your worth, because I have decided that you are worth my love, worth my keeping, worth walking with to the very end. Say to me in this very moment, even in a whisper, if you must, Lord, I trust you more than what people say about me. That alone means you have begun stepping out of the shadow of rumors and into the light of grace. And I, your Lord, will walk with you on that road, step by step, never leaving you, beloved child. I know there have been times when you quietly carried a heavy thought that what you are suffering today is because I am angry, that I am using my power to punish you for the things you did wrong in the past. I know that sometimes you look at the losses, the doors that have closed, the relationships that have broken, and you whisper to yourself, maybe God doesn't love me anymore. You don't dare say it out loud, but deep down you have placed me in the position of a strict official, waiting for you to slip so a sentence can be handed down. My child, I want to gently remove that thought from your heart, because it has never been the truth. If all I wanted was to find fault in you, I would not have climbed onto the cross. If my purpose were only to punish, I would not need to carry anything for you. I could have left you to sink in the consequences of your own choices, but I chose the opposite. I took the punishment that belonged to you. I bore the shame. I endured separation from glory, so a way back could be opened for you. There was a time you knelt down, confessed your sin, admitted your weakness, wept in repentance, and I held you fully. I do not keep a list of your failures in my hand to press you down day after day. I have erased them, washed them clean, cast them into a place where they are no longer brought up. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. So why do you still live as though I am standing at your door with a whip in my hand? Listen to a question I placed before you. Has there ever been a moment when you truly saw me snatch back what I gave simply because I wanted to torment you? Have I ever given you joy only to take it away for pleasure? You often look only at what was lost and forget what I have preserved for you. There are disasters that brushed past your life without you ever knowing. There are doors that, if opened at the moment, you begged would lead you further astray, and I held them back. You call that loss, but in reality there were times I was rescuing you by saying no to what you thought was a blessing. I do not deceive you, nor do I scheme to harm you. I am not one who gives and then takes back to satisfy himself. I am the one who let his hands be nailed on the cross so innocent blood could pour out to the very last drop for you. I willingly stepped into the deepest place of pain a human can bear, so you would no longer lie haunted by the thought that God is merely waiting to strike you down. A love that was crucified for you does not turn back to curse you. A Savior who chose to die in your place has no interest in pushing you into despair. Some of the pain you carry is the natural result of wrong choices, of toxic environments, of people hurting one another, of a world broken by sin. The consequences are real. The wounds are real. The tears are real. But do not use that to conclude that I am the source of every ruin. I did not form you to destroy you. I came to heal, to pull you out of those cycles. When you run to me in repentance, when you choose to turn away from sin, leaving behind the habits and ties that drag you down, in that very moment, I open my arms to receive you. I do not make you wait in some holding corridor. Do not demand that you pay for it through endless rituals before you may enter. I have forgiven you, accepted you, called you by name. So what is making you hesitate? What keeps you standing far off, avoiding me, bowing your head, carrying the feeling, I am hated, I am being punished? That is not my voice. You are listening to another sound. The voice of one who whispers in your ear that you have crossed the line, that I am tired of you, that what you suffer today is the final blow meant to end you. It wants you to believe I hold grudges, that I remember every small fault, that I secretly arrange everything so you will taste pain. That one is not me. You have once immersed yourself in my word. You have known who I am. You have heard, read, and sensed part of my true portrait. I am rich in mercy, slow to anger, abounding in faithful love. I give eternal life, not as something lent and later reclaimed, but as an everlasting covenant sealed with my own self. This is not a small matter, not a few temporary comforting lines. This is the foundation for how you see every upheaval happening around you. When obstacles crash in, when conflict flares up, when everything becomes tangled and the adversary seems to be winning, I do not turn to you and say, "See, I'm teaching you a lesson through disaster." I do not take pleasure in watching you stagger. Yes, I can use even hardship to shape you and reveal deeper things. But I do not swing a sledgehammer to crush you. The enemy is the one who wants to use every failure to drag you into the pit. It whispers, "That's your God. Look how he treats you." And if you believe it, little by little, your heart will harden toward me. Even if outwardly you still go to church, still pray out of habit. Look back and see each time you fall into the whirlpool of self-accusation, resentment toward me, bitterness toward heaven and earth. What happens to your life? Your heart does not grow lighter, it grows heavier. Your faith does not become stronger, it slowly weakens. Your eyes do not become brighter, they see only darkness. But in those rare moments, when you dare to come to me with the whole truth of yourself, even disappointment, confusion, even anger, in those moments, even if your circumstances have not yet changed, your heart begins to loosen. I do not drive you away because you dare to ask why. I do not shut the door because you are hurting so much you blurt out unreasonable words. I am big enough to hold your bewilderment. What I want from you is not a pious appearance always saying I believe. I'm happy. I'm fine. While inside you are falling apart, I want the truth that is in your heart. Even when that truth is still tangled, still full of questions. Because only when you bring what is real before me can I touch the exact place that needs healing. If you keep hiding, keep pushing it down, keep smiling it away, the wound will continue to fester, and the accusing voice will grow louder day by day. So find a quiet place, a private space where you can take off every role you have been playing. Come to me, not with polished words, but with a very human sigh. You can say to me, Lord, I'm not trusting you the way I thought I did. I'm angry. I feel wronged. I'm afraid. It feels like you've left me. I am not repulsed by those words. I was in the Garden of Gethsemane. I have tasted loneliness. I once prayed with sweat like blood. If it is possible, let this cup pass from me. I understand what it feels like to want to run from pain. Let your heart pour out before me. If you need to cry, then cry. If you want to be silent, then sit still in my presence without forcing yourself to say the right things. I do not despise a trembling heart. I simply do not want you to keep carrying mountains of regret and guilt inside you. My desire is for you to be set free completely, not feeling lighter today, only to be dragged back tomorrow by the same old hauntings. I do not rescue you halfway. I want to uproot the chains that bind you from within, so that when you rise, you will know you truly belong to the light and are no longer living in the gray zone of shame. Perhaps you think, I have repented. So why does my heart still feel heavy? It is because you have not let me have the final word. You are still giving other voices the right to stand alongside mine, the voice of the past, the voice of people, the voice of self-condemnation, and above all, the voice of the adversary. Today I invite you to lay all those voices down and ask again, I, your Lord, what have I said about you? What do I call you? How do I see you? What price did I pay so that you would no longer be chained by sin? When you begin to see yourself through my eyes, everything will change. You will realize that what you thought was punishment is in fact an invitation to return. What you called a curse is sometimes the fence I set up to keep you from rushing into the abyss. The people you thought were destroying your life may at times have been instruments that exposed the cracks within you, the very places I want to heal. I do not excuse their wrongdoing, but neither will I allow the wounds they caused to become your ending. I will touch your spirit when you are still in me, not when you run around trying to prove you are worthy, but when you let go and say, Lord, I have no way left, but I still want to believe. In that surrender, I begin to bring light. I show you the hidden links in the story of your life, the moments when I quietly intervened, the meanings you were never able to connect. Little by little, I lift the veil on the good plan I set in motion long ago, a plan that does not exclude dark days, but uses even those days to weave something greater and good. You will not understand everything overnight, and I do not promise to explain every detail the way you might want. But I promise I will let you know enough that you will no longer suspect me to be your enemy. I promise to give you certainty that in the middle of all you do not understand, there is still one thing you can hold on to. I love you. I forgive you. And I do not use your old sins to kill your future. Today, let me put an end to the fear that I am cursing you. Let me continue the story of restoration you have abandoned so many times because of confusion. Stop nurturing a distorted image of me. Let me introduce myself to you again through your lived experience as a father who is both just and gentle, one who hates sin and yet embraces the repentant sinner fully. And in that embrace, you will find the peace you thought you had lost. Together with a new beginning within the beautiful plan I have already prepared for you. My beloved child, do not let what is swirling around you weigh your soul down even more. I see the moments you sit still, your eyes fixed somewhere while your mind drifts, through hundreds of things that happened, telling yourself that surely I am angry, surely I am disappointed, surely I am tired of your repeated stumbles. But my child, I do not keep a storehouse of resentment to bring out and torment you. I take no pleasure in watching you punish yourself, condemn yourself, lock yourself inside an emotional prison you built with your own hands. I do not need your despairing sighs as some kind of payment. What I want is for you to understand my heart, so that one day your trust in me will no longer be shaken by storms or by anyone's words. I want to draw you close enough that even while dawn is still dim, when others are still asleep, I can whisper to you. I long for mornings at daybreak when you wake, not only to manage a new day, but also to hear me speak to you about what lies deep in my heart for you. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give, and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. In those quiet hours, I want to let you taste a portion of my glory, so your spirit is touched by something beyond the limits of the mind. You will not merely hear teachings about my love. You will feel it like a warm wave spreading through your chest, like an invisible mantle settling over your whole being. Then you will know it is not imagination. It is me holding you with a love beyond reasoning, a love that is living, a love that does not fade with time. I do not love you and flashes near when I feel like it, gone when I don't. My love for you is not worn down by years, nor extinguished by your failures. I want to uproot every doubt in your heart about whether you still belong to me. You are not an anonymous object among billions of lives. You are my inheritance, my treasure, precious in my sight. My eyes do not leave you. Even when you think I have turned away by day and by night, when others lose patience with you, I still quietly watch over you, shelter you, and wait for the moment your heart opens again. I do not come to you with coldness, but with a pure and gentle love without calculation, without hidden motives, without conditions or bargaining. So be brave and begin to set aside the twisted thoughts you have had about me. Each time you think, God is punishing me because he's sick of me, ask carefully, what do I gain by seeing you in pain? By watching your heart shatter. I am not a tyrant sitting on high, waiting for lightning to strike just to satisfy myself. Nor do I need your panic to prove that I am powerful. What I want to see in you is not trembling fear, but trusting eyes. I want you to see me as a father you can run to even when you have just sinned, even when you have not yet fixed anything. Of course, you know better than anyone that every choice comes with consequences. A careless word can fracture a relationship. An impulsive decision can set off a chain of problems that leaves you exhausted. One compromise with what is wrong can open the door for confusion to flood in. I do not deny that. I do not erase the workings of cause and effect in this world. But my child, what I want you to understand is this. I do not lead you into ruin and then leave you there alone. I do not take you into a dead end so you will remain trapped in darkness forever. I patiently wait for you to return to me, so that father and child can sit together, face what has happened honestly, not to humiliate you, but to heal you and reshape you. I am your God, the one who rules the whole universe in unfathomable majesty. I am your Father who understands every hidden corner you tell no one about. I am the friend who never leaves, who knows every joy and sorrow you have lived through. I am the righteous judge who discerns good and evil, who puts all things in their rightful place. And yes, I am also a consuming fire, one who does not compromise with wickedness, cannot be bought, cannot be bent by human desire. But do not stop at that image and forget something deeper. Still, I am also your stronghold, your refuge, your defender, the one who rises to speak for you when no one understands, the one who shields you from the schemes of the wicked. My righteousness and my protection are not separated precisely because I am righteous. I stand with those who truly turn back to me. In my hands remain the marks, indelible proof of the price paid for your soul. The cross is not merely a distant event. It is the everlasting evidence that your debt of sin has been paid with my very life. You no longer have to live as a sinner waiting for a final sentence. You are invited into the position of a redeemed child, received, claimed, loved. Even if on this earth there are still consequences you must face because of yesterday's choices in the middle of hearings, responsibilities, and repairs, I am still there to uphold your spirit, to pull your soul back from the abyss of despair. I do not leave you to walk through your season of making things right by yourself. What I desire from those bitter experiences is this, that you learn and that you live differently. I want you to wake up, to recognize what slowly robbed you of inward purity, what led you to hurt others and wound yourself. I do not want you to escape trouble and then stop there, only to return to the old orbit a few years later. I want to see you choose another path, a way of life that does not injure the people beside you, does not despise the truth, does not treat holiness lightly. I want you to stop at the edge of the cliff. Turn your back on what pulls you away from me and take new steps in the light, even if that first step is trembling and slow. If I have kept you from the stumbles that others have fallen into, if you have been able to refuse the temptations, the shadowed trips, the pleasures that silence your conscience, then do not drift to sleep inside that sense of safety. Stand even firmer. Do not look on others as they fall with pride, forgetting that it is my grace that has kept your feet from slipping. Keep your distance from what you know does not belong to me. Do not play with fire and then ask why you are burned. I want my peace to seep into every corner of your soul, so that you will not merely live by avoiding sin in a strained, reluctant way, but truly delight in the freedom I give you. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. It is no longer being bound by what destroys you. I long to see your spirit filled with joy that does not depend on circumstances. I want you to come to me, not with the posture of someone hiding and shrinking back, but with the boldness of one who knows they are loved. Do not be afraid to draw near. You are not walking into a courtroom. You are coming home to the Father's house. Use even your own breath to intercede for your family, for those you love, for those who are lost. Every whisper you lift for your loved ones does not fall to the ground is something meaningless. I gather those prayers and turn them into streams of water, watering the dry soil within their hearts. You may not see change at once, but I am working in my way in my time. And while you wait, persevere. Do not let go simply because you have not yet seen results. Do not measure my goodness by the speed at which I answer according to your preferences. So often you ask for a particular door, a particular person, a particular path, and when I do not respond exactly as you hoped, you quickly conclude that I am silent, that I do not hear, that I have overlooked you. But my child, there are requests which, if I granted immediately, would give you brief happiness and then leave you with lasting consequences. There are things you think are blessings, yet I know they would become burdens, and there are things you fear losing, but I must remove them to rescue you from chains you have not even recognized. So when the outcome comes, and it does not resemble what you prayed for, do not rush to reject it. Ask me, Lord, what are you trying to teach me through this arrangement? What do you see that I have not seen? If you are willing to look through eyes of faith, you will realize this. I never take away what is good without preparing something better. That better is not always comfortable, but it will mature your soul, draw you nearer to me, and make your life a channel of grace rather than merely a place that receives. You do not need to understand every detail. You only need to hold tightly to one truth. I do not turn my back on you, and I do not treat your joy as entertainment. I lead you through every season, every bend in the road with one ultimate purpose, that you might become more like me, freer, brighter, and that through you my blessing might flow to others. Believe this even while tears still cling to your lashes, because it is precisely then that I am nearer to you than ever before, my beloved child. Tonight, when the room grows dark, when the lights are out, when the noise outside settles, and it is only you left with tangled thoughts, I ask you not to rush into sleep with the same exhaustion and heaviness as so many nights before. The moment you pull the blanket up, before you sigh one more time, pause and whisper softly, but with your whole heart, I am dwelling in the shelter of the Most High. I am covered in the loving arms of the Almighty. He is my strength, the refuge of my life. Let those words not merely brush your lips, but flow into your heart like warm water. Because they are not a slogan, they are truth, a covenant between me and you. Even if the whole world turns away, even if people's eyes grow cold, even if someone looks down on you, I still look at you with tenderness. I do not see you through the lens of small mistakes. I do not measure your worth by the times you have stumbled. I see you in the light of my love for you. Love I had for you even before you entered this world. I know exactly who you are. I know which wounds have torn through your heart, the times you cried and no one knew. Even the things you have not dared to admit to yourself. And yet in the midst of it all, I still say I want you. I choose you. I accept you. You may feel small, unknown, unnecessary in a sea of talented, radiant people. You may think there is nothing remarkable about you, nothing that sets you apart, nothing. You are in this vast world, but to me, you are not a number. You are not a blurred face in a crowd. You are a person I call by name, a soul I love with a personal love that cannot be replaced. I know the quiet dreams you have not dared to speak, the desires you keep hidden for fear of being mocked, extinguished, for fear of hoping only to be disappointed again. I hear even the words you have not spoken aloud. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission will grow into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Giving to this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through hearts that are kind. This is what I say over you now. Each gift you give is like a stream of living water that flows into the life of someone who needs healing. Give, and it will be given to you is not just a verse for Jesus. It is a living promise that shapes your future. Allow me to invite you now with a simple act of faith. Come into this moment with purpose, with honesty, and with hope. The money you give today is not a donation. The act of spiritual obedience that lets your heavens open is what opens them. Let go of your seed and see what God brings back into your life. And I tell you this, a time will come, not decided by your anxiety or your rushing, but appointed by my loving plan, when you will rise and choose to change your life. Not because of pressure, not because of shame, but because you will realize you were not born to be swallowed up by habits that destroy the soul. A day will come when you have had enough, when you turn your back on what once bound you, toxic relationships, addictions of mind and body, ways of living that leave you emptier by the day. Not because you suddenly become strong, but because my grace touches you, opens your eyes, and lets you see your worth in me. And once you have seen it, you cannot continue living as though you are worthless. Then you will begin to learn something you may have overlooked: to value yourself. Not with inflated pride, but by caring for your body and soul as I have instructed. Love your neighbor as yourself. How can you love others if you do not know how to treat your own soul with kindness? How can you lift others up if you are being crushed by contempt for yourself? I do not call self-care selfish. On the contrary, I teach you to rest, to listen, to guard your heart from what is poisonous. I want you to know that setting boundaries, learning to say no to what pulls you away from me, practicing respect toward yourself, these are not indulgence, they are part of obedience. You must learn to recognize your true value in my eyes, not according to the warped standards of the world. You are not the sum of other people's criticism. You are not defined by what you have or have not achieved. You are not only the painful memories you have lived through. You are the one I have called, shaped, kept, and redeemed at an immeasurable cost. When you begin to believe this, you will stop chasing cheap affirmation from careless glances. You will stop trying to play someone else's role just to be accepted. Little by little, you will dare to live honestly. You will dare to say enough to anything that insults your dignity, because you know you deserve to be loved in a healthy, pure, truthful way. This awareness will not make you arrogant, because an arrogant heart is a heart that has forgotten who it was before my touch. Instead, when you truly know you are loved, treasured, and shown grace apart from merit, you become gentler, more willing to bow low, more able to listen to another's pain. You will no longer need to trample anyone to feel higher. You will be able to embrace others in their shortcomings, because you understand the feeling of weakness, of being wounded, of being lost. And yet you will no longer allow anyone to crush your soul, because you know you belong to me, and you guard that dignity as a gift. I want to give you a heart soft enough to tremble at broken lives, yet firm enough not to sink into their darkness. A heart that knows compassion without belittling itself. Empathy without losing the path I have set for you. As you step into this rhythm, you will gradually learn to receive the blessings and gifts I pour out without pushing them away with feelings of unworthiness. Many times I draw near with good opportunities, wide open doors, healthy relationships, chances for you to grow in your abilities. And yet you reject them in your heart, because deep down you believe I don't deserve this. You step aside for others, not because of true humility, but because you have believed a lie for too long, that you are always less lower, and that the best thing is to move out of the way. My child, I do not give grace because you are perfect. I do not offer opportunities because you never make mistakes. I do not hand out blessings as rewards for those without blemish. Every good thing I give because I love, because I choose, because I have a plan. I see all your foolish moments. I am not blind to your wrong choices. I know the hidden corners you do not want anyone to see. But I also see in you what you have never recognized: endurance, compassion, quiet perseverance, the ability to lift others with simple words, small faithfulness the world never notices. I see a sprout of life in the ashes. I see a faint light in a corner you thought had gone dark. And because I see both your weakness and your potential, my grace is truly grace. I reach out not after you have cleaned yourself up, but while you are still stained, and I choose to gather you into my arms. The blessings I give you flow from who I am. I am kind, slow to anger, abundant in grace, rich in mercy. I do not distribute goodness by calculating merit and fault the way people do. If I did, you would have nothing to receive. But I give because I am who I am, and that is your hope. So I ask you now, do you believe what I am telling you? Not merely believing with the mind, nodding and then returning to the same old life. I am asking your heart the place where you truly decide who you are, what you deserve, and how you will respond to me. Sit with this. Do not scroll past it. Do not let these words slip by like countless reminders you have heard before. Take a pen or open a note on your phone and write honestly what you believe about me and what you believe about yourself. Tell me the hidden fears, the areas where doubt still lives. Lord, here I still don't dare believe you truly love me. Speak it to me. Write down what you know is true, but have not yet lived. The dreams you abandoned because you assumed you could not. I want to read those lines as I would read a letter from you, because your words are not only for you to see. They help you face your own heart and reveal the corners that need my light. And as you write, as you tell, as you lay yourself open before me, you will sense something begin to shift. Sorrow feels named, shame loosens, burdens grow lighter. That is when seeds of faith and a renewed spirit begin to take root. Not blind optimism, but a steady hope anchored in the one who does not change. I want to see a new posture in you, instead of replaying verdicts against yourself all day. You learn to speak words that align with the truth I have spoken. Instead of seeing yourself only as a victim of circumstances, you recognize you carry the life of God within you. Instead of staring only at failure, you learn gratitude for the times I have kept you even when you did not notice. Work with me in this journey. I give you living words and you speak them, write them, meditate on them, receive them in faith. I plant within you a new picture of who you are, and you take small steps to live in a way that matches that picture. Do not be afraid if you still tremble. I welcome even your trembling. I ask you only this. Do not turn away from my grace when you grow weary. Come back. Talk with me. Write what you are carrying inside. I am there listening, patient, always ready to lead you forward. Little by little, until you can see yourself with eyes closer to mine. Not eyes of contempt or inflated pride, but the eyes of someone who knows they are loved, forgiven, called, and sent out in the boundless grace of their Lord, my little child in my heart. First of all, be at peace about this. I do not sit high above frowning at you, and I am not waiting for you to stumble so I can blame or condemn you. On the contrary, long before you knew how to call my name, I had already leaned down to look at you with a love that has no fences and no borders. There are days when you think that I have gone far away, that I am silent because I am tired of you. But the truth is that in every weary breath you take, I am still surrounding you, still guarding you, still holding you close to my heart in a way your natural eyes cannot see. You do not have to try to become a better version of yourself in order to be loved by me, right in the middle of your mess, your weakness, your lack and flaws. I have already called you by name and placed you in my arms. The words I have spoken over your life are never empty, casual phrases. Every promise I give carries life and power. It does not fade with time, nor is it buried by circumstances. If up to this very moment you still have not seen the things you hope for, that does not mean I have changed my mind, nor does it mean you have been removed from my plan. Under this sky, everything I do has a precise time, like a seed that only sprouts in its season, like dawn that only breaks when the night has been long enough. You want everything to happen right now, so your heart can feel lighter. But I see beyond a day, a month, a year. I see the entire journey. I see how your soul needs to be set in order and to grow before the blessing comes, so that the blessing itself does not become a burden to you. That is why I'm teaching you to wait with a heart that knows I do not forget you, and I do not forget a single promise spoken over you. I am preparing you for something even you cannot yet imagine. There will come a moment sooner than you think when your heart will overflow with joy in a way you cannot picture right now. Then you will no longer be able to stay silent. You will want to tell it, to write it down, to proclaim it to yourself and to others. I still trust the Lord, even though there were days when it seemed impossible to believe. But I am not waiting for that day to start rejoicing even now. When you choose to whisper a small, simple phrase, I trust you, while nothing around you has changed, heaven is already listening and rejoicing, because that is genuine faith. Faith that does not rest on feelings or on immediate visible results, but on my faithful nature. Do not let fear dominate every conversation inside your heart anymore. You look toward the future and see question marks. What will happen with my work? Which door will open? Will I be capable enough? Will I be left behind? Will I be rejected? You calculate many possibilities and then imagine the worst scenarios, and your heart tightens in anxiety. You watch the news. You listen to the words of the world. You look at your circumstances, and the inner space of your heart gradually gets filled up with voices that oppose the truth I have spoken. But my child, pause for a moment and let this truth sink deep. I am not a vague idea or a religious concept. I am the living answer to every confusion inside you. I know you worry about tomorrow, but I am already standing in that tomorrow, arranging everything in the best way for your salvation and your future. I hear your sighs about your job, your career path, about doors that seem about to close. I see the nights when you toss and turn because you are afraid of losing what you are holding on to. And while those negative voices are building a wall to imprison your mind, I am still standing right in the middle of that chaos, speaking to you clearly. Do not be afraid. Do not fear those who seem to have the power to decide your life. Do not fear judgmental looks, harsh gossip, hidden schemes designed to discourage you. They may string words together to stab at your reputation. They may twist the story to damage your image. They may arrange the setting so that you look like the loser. But they cannot touch the core that I am holding in my hand, your soul, and the plan I have written for your life. What they can damage is only the surface. What I am building is the foundation. When you stand on the side of truth, you do not need to use tricks or revenge. My power surpasses every force you can see. and I am not silent in the face of anything that rises up against the good work I have begun in you. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. So instead of wearing yourself out running around to defend yourself, I invite you to another place, a quiet place where only you and I remain. Find for yourself a small corner. It does not need to be a solemn church or a special space. Just a place where you can sit down, put your phone aside, turn down the noise, and close your eyes. You do not need to prepare a long prayer or arrange polished words. I do not measure you by how smooth your speech is. What I desire is an open heart and a silence that knows how to listen. When you let all other sounds grow still, you will begin to notice a voice that is very gentle yet very deep, touching precisely the places you do not dare touch. Old wounds you have tried to hide. Hurts you have never fully told anyone. Memories that return each time the sky is about to grow light. I see you wake at dawn with your heart unsettled, staring into the dark of the ceiling, not knowing which thought to cling to, not knowing what the new day will bring, more opportunity or more pain. I know there are nights when after everyone has fallen asleep, you again face thick loneliness, feeling as if the whole world has turned its back, and you alone are drifting in a silent emptiness. Yet in those very hours, I am closer to you than ever before. Even if your feelings cannot reach that reality, I say to you, come near to me. Not with your physical feet, but with a movement of your soul. You decide to turn the inner gaze of your heart toward me. Even when you feel empty, even when your tears are still on your face, you can sit there without saying a word, simply letting your heart rest under my gaze. You can let the tears fall without rushing to wipe them away. Because every tear that falls in, my presence is seen and kept by me as part of the story I am healing. Even if you hear no sound, I am still speaking into the deepest place inside you. You are not abandoned. I am here. I am holding you. The world is very skilled at making you lose heart. It uses bad news, failure, comparison, and false standards to drown you in feelings of uselessness, loneliness, and inferiority. Some people stand on the sidelines, waiting to see you collapse so they can feel superior. Some watch you with eyes that are eager for one wrong step so they can judge you. But in the midst of those cold stares, there is one gaze that never changes. It is my gaze, full of gentleness and full of power. My Holy Spirit does not stand far off watching you struggle. He steps into the very darkest places of your life, stretches out his hand to lift you up little by little, and whispers to you the words your heart has needed to hear all your life. Rise up, my child. You are not a broken, useless object. You are my treasure. What has wounded you does not have the right to define you. You will make it through because I am walking with you. Hold these words close to your heart, especially as you are about to fall asleep. Do not let your night be occupied by gloomy scripts and endless what-if questions. Before you close your eyes, let a few of my words echo again in your mind. I am here. I watch over tomorrow. I care for you. These simple words are like gentle hands pulling your thoughts out of the whirlpool of worry, leading your soul into a place of peace you could never find on your own. Each word I speak is a piece of bread that feeds your soul, a clear drop of water soothing the thirst inside you. If you allow these words to soak in, you will notice your sleep gradually ceasing to be a place of nightmares and fear and becoming instead the time when I keep watch over you in the quiet. Can you imagine this? The space you live in is not just four walls, a room, and a few pieces of furniture. When I am present, that place becomes holy ground, though your physical eyes cannot see it. If your spiritual eyes were opened, you would realize that around you there are not only unseen dangers, but also a whole heavenly army standing guard. Just as in days of old, when I opened the eyes of Elisha's servant to see the hills full of chariots of fire all around. Today, I also want you to know that you are not alone in the battle. Whenever you grow weary and think there is no one standing on my side, remember that above you is an army that does not sleep, sent to protect you from things you cannot foresee. You do not see my hand pushing away accidents, blocking traps, redirecting evil schemes. But as long as I still give you breath, that is the proof that I am actively at work to protect and lead you. Therefore, do not let fear and inner darkness have the final word. Let what I am saying to you today become the stronger voice. You are loved, not rejected. You are sheltered, not abandoned. You are being led, not left to drift. And in the midst of all that you do not yet understand, you only need to hold firmly to this one thing. I do not change. My love is never withdrawn. And I will walk with you through every dark night until my light with my own hand redraws the picture of your life in a way more beautiful than any plan you have ever dreamed of. My beloved child, I know that sometimes when you hear talk about blessing for many generations, you feel a bitter smile rise in your heart. You think, Lord, I can barely handle my own life debts, pressure, sickness, wounds, and all these tangled problems around me. How can I even talk about the generations after me? It is right at that point that I want to touch the deepest weariness in you. You have been seeing yourself as someone who has to manage everything alone, not as a child being led in a plan far greater than yourself. You do not have to be perfect to begin a new stream of blessing. You only need to be someone who dares to stop, who dares not to repeat the things that have hurt you. Maybe throughout your childhood, you grew up in scolding, comparison, indifference, or violence. Maybe you have heard sentences like you are useless, you will never become anything. No one in this family has ever done anything, and you will be the same. Those lines are like invisible curses clinging to your memory and to the way you see yourself. And unconsciously, you begin to repeat similar words to others, to your children, to the one you love, and to your own soul. But my child, I did not call you to be a loudspeaker repeating old toxic voices. I called you to be a new voice, a new beginning. When you recognize that you have been wounded by such words, and you stand up and say, I will not speak like that to the next generation anymore. In that very moment in heaven, a dark chain is being broken. You cannot see it, but I see it. You think you are simply trying to be a better person, but in reality that is a spiritual act, a turning point for an entire family line. I do not deny that you are tired. I know there are nights when you lie awake worrying about money, the future, sickness, your children, your aging parents, and broken relationships. I know there are times you sigh and think, if only I had been born into a different family, on a different foundation, maybe I would not have suffered like this. I do not blame you for those thoughts, but I want to tell you this. I can use the very dry ground on which you now stand to bring forth things the world thinks are impossible. Do you remember Abraham? He did not come from a perfect family. He came from a lineage that worshipped idols. No one really knows the names of his parents beyond a few lines recorded. But I called him to step out of his old way of life, out of his comfort zone, out of the patterns his whole household clung to, and from a man with no child, no land, nothing in his hands. I made him the father of many nations. The blessing did not begin when he had everything. The blessing began when he dared to walk according to my word, even when he did not yet understand it all. You are the same. I do not wait until your family is stable, your heart steady, and your circumstances smooth before I begin to work. I begin right in the present brokenness. I see the times you swallow your tears and remain silent, choosing not to cause more hurt. I see the evenings when you choose to pray for your loved ones instead of sinking into resentment. I see the apology messages, the humble words that no one knows you had to struggle so much just to write. I keep every one of these that is not weakness. Those are the quiet seeds of blessing. Do not think of blessing as a glittering gift that suddenly appears on some beautiful day. Very often blessing is simply that you no longer repeat the old mistakes. It is when you feel anger rising. Remember how others have wounded you through that same anger, and you decide to stop, to be silent, to pray, to lay down yourself. On the outside, it may seem as if nothing has happened, but in the spiritual realm, I know a spiral has just been cut off. A repeated pattern has just been brought to an end. There are families that pass down money, land, and fame, but there are also families that pass down pain, coldness, addiction, adultery, unbelief, disrespect, violence, and despair. I do not want your family to be just another copy of that suffering. I want you to be the first one to say enough, not in pride but in surrender, not by your own willpower but by my grace. You may think you are too small in your whole family line. You think your voice carries no weight. You think that because you are not highly educated, not especially capable, not wealthy, you could never change the life of anyone. But my child, in the kingdom of heaven, those standards decide nothing. What I am looking for is not a perfect person, but a willing one. Someone willing to kneel when everyone else in the house only knows how to argue. Someone willing to forgive when everyone else only knows how to remember wrongs. Someone who dares to speak the truth in love instead of continuing to live in pretense. Remember Hannah, the unknown woman who wept bitterly in the temple because she had no child. She was despised, mocked, and misunderstood by others. Yet she did not pour out her bitterness on people. She poured it into my hands. She pleaded with me. And I gave her Samuel, a son set apart from me, who became a prophet, a priest, a leader of my people through a time of great turmoil. One hidden woman, one tearful prayer, and an entire generation was affected. You do not know whom the prayers you offer today will reach or what they will change in the future. All you see is a cramped room, the yellow light of a lamp, a weary bed, and eyes swollen from crying. But from that very place, I can give your family, Samuel's and Timothy's people, whom the world will never know had their roots in your quiet sighs before me. I also understand that sometimes when you hear about a spiritual inheritance, you feel a sting inside. I have not even received anything good for myself. What inheritance could I possibly leave my child? Perhaps you never received gentle care from your parents. Perhaps you never had a truly warm home. Perhaps no one taught you to pray when you were young. Perhaps you had to grope your way to me through confusion and sin. Yet, precisely because you had to seek me for yourself, you will treasure me precisely because you have known lack. You understand the pain of those who lack. And for that very reason, what you pass on to the next generation will bear the weight of all the days through which you have walked while bleeding. You are about to enter your divine future. Remember that this message does not end with you. People can use your breakthrough to get where they need to go. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community, you can help this mission. By doing so, you are sowing into the awakening, deliverance, and restoration of souls who are still trapped in darkness. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you." Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and safety for your family. Now is your time, my child. Have faith, and as you do, watch God multiply what you let go of. I do not promise that just because you believe, every wound in your family will instantly disappear. I am not saying that just because you pray, everyone around you will immediately change. There will be those who remain hard-hearted, who still refuse and resist. There will be nights when you intercede and the next morning shows no sign of improvement. But do not think that this is useless. In this life, there are seeds that take many years to sprout. In the spiritual realm, there are walls that must be struck many times before they crack. What I ask of you is not to see right away, but to keep believing even when you do not yet see, because what I am doing does not merely chase after your passing emotions. I am painting a great picture. You are standing so close that all you can see are a few ugly, messy strokes. But one day when you stand beside me and look back from the vantage point of eternity, you will see that every wound, every tear, every time you chose faithfulness has been fitted by me into a beautiful story. My beloved child, I want you to realize that every time you remain in me in the midst of your weariness, you are keeping open a door of grace, not only for yourself, but also for others. If you give up, if you close your heart, if you say, "I won't believe anymore, I won't pray anymore," the stream of blessing that longs to flow through you will be blocked. I still love. I still wait, but many good things will have to be delayed because I do not force anyone to open the door of their heart. Do not let weariness make you lock the very door I used to enter your family. I do not require you to be full of strength all the time. I only ask that you do not leave me. Bring your exhaustion, your discouragement, your fear, your hurt feelings to me. Speak honestly with me as a child. Cry if you need to. Be silent if you cannot find words, but do not turn your back. For when you remain, even with only a tiny little bit of faith, I can still work. I will use that small faith to keep the stream of blessing from being cut off. I will use you slowly, but surely to change the atmosphere in your home and the atmosphere in hearts. A gentler word, a held hand, an apology, a blessing, a meal without quarreling. These things may seem small, but they are the first bricks of a new foundation. Today, as you hear these words, you may still find it hard to believe that your life could become any kind of inheritance for anyone. But I believe in what I have sown in you. I believe in the plan I have written for you, even when you cannot yet see it. I believe in all the times you have sat there, thinking you had nothing left, yet still called on my name. And I never waste what belongs to me. So my child, keep walking. Even slowly, keep praying. Even tired, keep believing. even with a heart still full of wounds. Not because you are strong, but because I am faithful. I am faithful to the word I have spoken over your life. I am faithful to the generations you have not yet met. I am faithful to my own love. And one day when you unexpectedly hear your child, your grandchild, or some young person say to you, "I believe in the Lord because of the life of my father, my mother, my aunt, my uncle," you will understand, at least in part, that the years you remained in me in the midst of all your weariness were never meaningless. And you will realize that the blessing I am speaking to you about today truly has flowed through your life, reaching far beyond anything you ever dared to dream. Now, with all the depth of my heart, I lift my eyes and bring to you my most sincere petitions. Almighty God, you who see into every hidden corner of my soul, today I come before you not with a strong facade, but with all my true weakness. I confess that many times I have tried to keep control of my own life, clinging tightly to the things you have called me to let go of until I became exhausted, confused, and hardened. Please break every hardness in my heart. Shatter the stubbornness and pride inside me so that I may decisively turn away from evil. From the small compromises I keep telling myself are harmless, please take the highest throne in my heart above my dreams, my feelings, my sense of safety, and my honor. Lord, please shape me according to your good purposes. Even though I do not fully understand, I still want to say I belong to you. Please use me. Pour out your Holy Spirit on the dry places within me, so that I no longer live by mere instinct, but live under your gentle yet mighty guidance. From now and forever, dear Heavenly Father, I know I often tremble before trials and easily shrink back when faced with criticism, failure, and loss. Time and again, I have focused more on my own limitations than on your power. Today I earnestly ask you to give me new strength, not a cold, numb toughness, but strength that comes from your love, so that I may face each storm without running away. Give me courage to step into the places you call me, even while I am still afraid to dare to speak what is right, even if I must stand alone. To dare to refuse sin, even when it costs me something I cherish. Please turn my timidity into spiritual boldness. Change the areas I always avoid into places where I am ready to obey. Lord, when my legs shake, let your hand hold me fast when my will grows weak. Let your word lift me up, so that I may walk steadfastly in the path you have chosen for me as a victor and no longer as a defeated one. Almighty God, I thank you for not letting my life drift along in ease and superficiality. The trials I once resented are now becoming the very places where you reshape me, break my pride, and strip away my illusions about myself. I thank you for not allowing me to go on living in hidden weakness, but using hardship to expose what needs to be healed. Thank you that every time I thought I was completely shattered, you used those very pieces to build a new person, more humble, deeper, more dependent on you. Though I do not yet understand all the ways you are molding me today, I want to say thank you, because without those dark days, I would not have learned to cling to you as I do now. Good and gracious Father, I thank you for all the times I wanted to let go. Yet you did not allow me to collapse completely. There were days I woke up feeling utterly drained. But then a verse of scripture, a song, or a gentle prompting in my heart was enough to help me stand up one more time. I know that was not my own strength, but the new strength you quietly poured into me. I thank you for giving me courage to face situations that once terrified me. Thank you for the times I was trembling yet still chose to do what was right. And looking back, I know clearly, if it had not been for you, I would have run away. Thank you for showing me that you are not only the Lord in the Bible, but the one who is still walking with me step by step, lifting me up each time I am about to fall. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen.